Welcome to the channel. I've had some people ask me in the past, how did I get the Blue Yeti to sound so good? I don't know. I don't know that I got it to sound so good, but in this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can get not only the Blue Yeti, but really any microphone to sound better. This is aimed at people who are doing video content for YouTube or really any platform, live streaming or podcasting. If you're a musician, while these principles do apply, this video is not really aimed for you. So we're going to touch on a couple different things here. First of all, I'm just going to address the Yeti itself. Then we're going to move on to signal to noise ratio, which means like how you can get the microphone to focus on your voice and get rid of all the other stuff going on in the room. And then the third thing we're going to talk about is your environment, how to get your environment to be acoustically better. Check the timestamps if you want to jump around. I also just want to mention that I am not a professional audio engineer or audio recordist. I do video production, so I do have to record audio, and it's something that I'm constantly learning about and something that I am hopefully improving on. I have had the Blue Yeti for years and years, and I know that when I first got it and when I was first using it, or really using it for several years, I was kind of in the same boat that I think a lot of you probably are, and thinking that, man, this microphone just doesn't sound very good. So starting off with the Blue Yeti, and again, I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence, but if you are completely new to this, it's understandable if you are setting up the Blue Yeti incorrectly. There are multiple polar patterns with the Blue Yeti, which is why it's a bit more expensive than other similar microphones. For this use case, when you're just recording your voice alone, you want to make sure there's a little switch on the back that you can switch the polar patterns. You want to make sure that you're in the cardioid pickup pattern. So there are little diagrams on the back there. You want to make sure that it's pointed to the little heart-shaped diagram. That's the cardioid pickup pattern, which means the microphone will be most sensitive from the front. The front of the Yeti, again, if you didn't know, is the part that says blue. So that's the front of the microphone. So you want to be talking into that axis of the microphone, not the top, not any other side of the microphone. Now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about signal to noise ratio. What that means for what we're talking about is the signal is the thing that you're trying to record. In this case, it's our voice, but whatever it is, a guitar, your cat purring, the signal is the thing that you want the microphone to focus on. The noise is all of the other noise that's being generated in the area, in the room that you're recording. I have an LED light that has a fan, and I'm sure it's getting hot in here. It's probably ramping up. I've also got my computer on the floor. It's got about 10 fans in it, and it's really loud. So those are the things that are generating noise in the room besides me. It also could be, me bumping into the desk, or if you're gaming, your keyboard and your mouse or your gamepad. Those things would also be the noise that you're trying to minimize. So how do you do that? On the back of the Yeti, there is a gain switch, a gain knob. In a nutshell, you want to have that gain knob turned as low as it can go while still getting an adequate level of volume from your voice, from the signal. So whatever software it is you're using to record, I'm using Adobe Audition, but it could be Audacity, it could be OBS, GarageBand, doesn't matter. It should have a meter on it. A good rule of thumb, you want that meter to be kind of like bumping around between negative 18 dB and maybe say negative 12 dB. It really depends on the kind of show that you're doing. I know that I never get really loud, so I can safely go to negative 12 and then maybe even peak a little bit higher than that. You never want to go to zero. If you go to zero, you're clipping your audio, you're losing information, and it has this harsh digital, it's just not a good sound. You don't want to do that. It sounds bad, and it's grating on your ears, and especially if you're doing it constantly. People are quickly going to click off your video because it's going to be irritating. So you never want to clip your audio. So you want to have enough headroom that you're never going to get loud enough to clip your audio. Most USB microphones will have a gain knob. If they don't have a physical gain switch, sometimes they'll have software to go along with them. But again, whatever software that you're recording into, you can also adjust the input gain. When you are done recording and you're actually producing the video or producing the podcast, as long as it's not a live stream, you have the ability on the back end to do some post-processing on your audio. So you can always bring up that gain level to get an appropriate level of volume for the listener. But you always want to make sure that you're getting enough of a signal right from the microphone so that you're not having to bring up that gain so much that you're raising the overall noise of the recording. So negative 18 to negative 12 dB be a good average for just about every situation. So if you find yourself needing to turn that gain knob way up in order to get enough signal, there's going to be your first problem, because when you turn that gain knob way up, The microphone is not only sensitive to your voice, but again, it's sensitive to everything. The microphone doesn't know what it's recording. It's just sensitive to sound waves. It doesn't care what sound waves are in the environment. It's going to record all of them. If you're finding that your gain knob is way too loud and it's starting to get way more of the environment than you want, you have two options. You can either get louder and turn the gain knob down, or get closer and turn the gain knob down. It's really all you can do. So now I am about 4 inches away from the front of the microphone, and the gain knob is as low as it can go. To demonstrate the difference that it makes when you get further away from the microphone and therefore turn your gain up, that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm about 6 to 7 inches away from the microphone. I feel like I moved back a little bit from where I was at first. And again, my gain is set to, I don't know, just maybe 8 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock. So now if I move back to about 1.5 feet away from the microphone, the levels are way down. So I've got to turn the gain up in order to compensate, in order to get back to where we were. So I don't know what it's set to. Maybe you can see that on the camera. Probably not. So now I'm back to where I was in terms of my volume, but I know that I can hear in my headphones a lot more of the room noise. So I can hear the fans on the light and on the computer, but I can also just hear my voice kind of echoing now. Signal to noise ratio. So my signal is further away, it's lower. In order to compensate, I had to turn the microphone gain up, making the microphone more sensitive to everything else in the room. That is just to demonstrate the principle of the signal to noise ratio. Speaking of polar patterns, the cardioid polar pattern essentially means that the microphone is sensitive from kind of the side, kind of in this little cone from the side to the front of the microphone. And then it's least sensitive from kind of like the side to the back, 45, 70 degree angle. So another thing is, especially if you are a game streamer or if you have multiple people in the same room, each has their own microphone, you want to position the mic so that it will be least sensitive to those other sources. For me in my room, currently, like I said, I've got an LED light with a fan going. So that's off to the side. So it's pointed kind of at the side back of the Yeti. So that's a good positioning for rejecting that noise as much as possible. And then I have the computer under the desk. And again, it's, kind of like right here. So it's pointed again at the side, at the rear of the microphone. So as much as possible, you want to try to position your microphone so that it's rejecting the other noise in the room relative to you. So next we want to think about the environment that we're recording in. So I have my 360 cam up so you can just get a better sense of the room that I'm recording in. It's about an 11 by 11 foot room. It's got really low ceilings. They're only 7 feet tall, and they're only 7 feet tall for about 3 feet, and then they quickly taper off. So it's in a converted attic. So it's a very small room, low ceilings. It also has carpet on the floor. You can see along the back here that I've got some acoustic panels, and they're just cheap panels from Amazon. And then on the ceiling here, I've got a couple of foam pads, the kind of stuff that you would put on a bed to make it softer. I just tacked those up onto the ceiling. I don't really know that they're doing anything, but figured what the hell. I'm talking into this corner of the room, so that's where my acoustic panels are. So that keeps my voice from bouncing off the wall and then coming back into the microphone. If you are recording video, chances are you might have some grip gear in your room too, so you can see as well that I have this 5-in-1 reflector near me. So any flags, reflectors, bounce boards, those kinds of things also are going to help break up the sound waves that are bouncing around in the room. So shelves with things on them, pictures on the wall, acoustic panels, blankets, all of these things will help out. Really, you want anything but just bare blank walls and a bare floor. If you don't have a small room, a couple things you can do, hang some blankets, hang some sheets, or you can get moving blankets. Anything that will shrink that room down, but also absorb some of the sound waves is going to help. It can be kind of a nuisance. It can be annoying, especially if it's something that you can't leave up. If you have to set up and tear it down all the time, I get it. It's kind of annoying, but again, you just have to ask yourself, how important is it to me to get better sound? These are the kinds of things that you'll need to do. You can go overboard. You don't have to get a completely acoustically dead environment like you're recording in a sound booth. If you're doing voiceovers, that's one thing. You might want to have like the cleanest, quietest recording environment for that particular use case. But for doing videos, for doing podcasts, having a little bit of room tone makes it sound livelier. It makes it sound like you're actually in a room. And that's totally fine. You don't have to eliminate all of the echo, all of the room sounds from your recording. It sounds more natural if you don't. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you got some value out of that. And from this point onward, if you're using the Blue Yeti, Hopefully it's going to sound better for you. Again, doesn't matter what microphone you're using, you're still going to want to be doing the same things. If you spend $400 on a microphone and you're sitting too far away from it and the gain's is cranked way up, it's not going to sound as good as it should. If I left anything out, if there's anything that was unclear, if I got something completely wrong, please let me know in the comments. And as always, I appreciate you watching this video. Maybe I'll see you in another one. And if you want to see more stuff about microphones and recording audio, maybe check out this playlist somewhere.